go off.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and share the screen again. So thank you for bearing with the technology. Share screen. Okay, so fingers crossed, sharing the screen. So can you see that I've shared the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what the book looks like. Bill, I'm just trying to see.
Okay.
Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
View full screen. Oh, okay. Can you see that? So this is what people are going to get. So as I was explaining, you either get the book or a day workshop or a 3-month fully immersive program. But the whole point of the book is to get people to look at their behavior and their beliefs. So I'm going to show that in the slides that we're going to go with, the Toolset slides that I'm going to share with you after this. And then each chapter is interactive so that I start to break down the P. So the P stands for power. And then I'll give a definition of what that means. Lots of quotes there, you see. So lots of inspiring, motivational quotes. Each page has a notes section where you can make as many notes. So it really makes it interactive. It really makes it kind of self-directed learning. And you can start to write down your thoughts. And then why is the P of power, sorry, the P of passion, why is power beneficial in our lives? And then I start to talk about how I used it, how I invented the concept of what it meant to me to be powerful for me. And then I talk about role models that I've looked to who are powerful and qualities that power develops. And then a tick list, which is great for people to just tick off of when they might know that power is present. Like, for example, you're not rushed to make decisions even when you feel pressurized. When something negative happens, that it's not final and there will always be another option. So that's when you're being powerful. How do you know when it's not present? You're always rushing to answer questions, to please people, to jump in feet first without assessing situations. And then each chapter always has a tool, which I'll share some tools with you as well in some of the Toolset slides, that you can just focus on as a little daily 5-minute exercise. So I try to make it bite-sized and easy to consume. And then you can just make some notes at the end of the chapter of what you might have of sort of gained from reading that chapter. So that's what the book looks like, and so hopefully you can see it really purely as a tool set and a journal. So that's I did after the tool set and then running it as a 3-month program last year with the previous students, and they said, how about doing a book? So I did the book, and so we shall see. So now what I'm going to do is I will go into the tool set so we can just start to talk around that, and please do ask me any questions as we go. So let's end the book and close that down. And are we still sharing? Can you still see my screen?
I see you.
You see me? Okay, right, let's share the screen again. Okay, share screen and share entire screen. Okay, so to the tool set. Okay, those bits, this is the workbook. There we go. It's just loading. You should be able to see a screen. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So I can't see you. Oh, okay. Right. Is that kind of center of the screen for you?
It's a little bit on the right. I don't think I see
it. On the right.
Now
okay.
It's better. Now it's better. Now it's great.
Better, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So as I said to you, the first thing we do before we get people to look at the tool set, because the acronym PASSION, each letter stands for something. P for power, A for authenticity, and that is mainly there to assist people in finding their blocks, in finding their obstacles. So within those 7 letters, one of those 7 letters you will find your obstacle, the thing that usually stops you. So it might be, you're not being powerful enough. The S is saying what you're going to do, sticking to what you're going to do. But before we do that, I get people to focus on understanding how they achieve their goals. So generally, when people talk about set a goal, set a vision, do your affirmations, have a big stretch goal, a lot of the time I talk about believe it, you'll achieve it, believe, and the way that I've sort of gone on my journey with coaching and understood for me how coaching can be very powerful is I focus on behavior. So I don't focus on beliefs, because for me, I always found them not very useful, because I would tell myself lots of great beliefs and have amazing goals and have, behind me, there's a big board with calendars and amazing written goals, but I never believed it. So for me, it was going out and taking the actions, and then you would start to reaffirm yourself by the results you get from your actions, and even taking the actions when you don't feel like it and you don't feel comfortable. So this here, channel WBB, the Who Behaviour Beliefs, for me was very much about firstly finding out who you are as a person and reminding us of why are we on this earth, because we think we go every day, but we do need those daily reminders. And then setting a 5-minute task every day to look at what high performing behavior can I go out and do today that will get me further to those stretch goals. Not what affirmation, not what amazing goal can I keep saying to myself, not what amazing dream can I keep repeating to myself, or what can I read on my board? What behavior, what action can I go take today? A 5-minute, even uncomfortable, consistently every day, that will start to bring me results, so that then I can then start believing it's possible. So I called this back engineering your WBB. So I'm just going to go to the next slide. So are you still there? Any questions?
No,
you good? Yeah. So this next slide is, I call it connecting who to the business, but it could be connecting who to anything. It's as I say, reminding ourselves, because sometimes a lot of people are like, why are you reminding me of my goal or who I am or what I stand for? I know all that. I've done all that. I've done all these coaching courses. But as humans, we still need reminding every single day. It's almost like we need to shock ourselves. I always talk about, I don't know what you call them, but over there in, did you say Macedonia where you are? Not Macedonia. Yeah, Macedonia. But we have these paddles when someone is having a heart attack, their heart stops. In the hospitals, they have these paddles where they put the paddle and it puts an electric shock onto your heart and restarts the heart. Yeah. And I always say every day, all of us need one of those electric shock paddles on our hearts, on our heart, maybe on our brain. Even as coaches and organizational development and learning development professionals, we're very good at getting our clients and getting our companies to look at the goal and the vision and the plan and the strategy and have those monthly plans and maybe even weekly plans. But as humans, we do forget. So it's remembering, you know, what do you care about and what excites you? And again, we see a lot of this on social media, lots of amazing YouTube videos, lots of amazing screenshots on Facebook where it's very inspirational and motivational, and there's lots of positive mindset things out there. But it's just about us taking that time, taking that 5 minutes every day to just think about how aligned is what we're doing every day and what we're doing in our job with our life. And the main little story I'm going to share before I ask you to share something, Biljana, is what I always use with people. Is I always think of the 9/11 with the plane hitting the Twin Towers, and that horrendous moment that we all saw. I saw on my TV screen. I was exercising. I had my baby on the floor, and I was literally watching, and it looked like it was a film. I thought it was a film, like something made up. And that moment impacted so many thousands of people, and some people it impacted horrendously, like a huge impact, like they lost someone, you know, they lost their closest people.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's those moments that make you think, what have I been doing? Have I really been living for myself, my family? Is what I'm doing fulfilling me? And why do, you know, a lot of the times we leave it to those moments. And then maybe if we've lost someone, it's at that point where a lot of people change direction in their life. So they might have been doing one job, but it completely shocks them. And they're like, right, I'm going to really start living my life for me, not for other people around me, or not for trying to prove something, or, you know, answer something, or fill a black hole that's inside me, or whatever it might be. So yeah, I wondered if there's anything you wanted to share from just having shared that bit about connecting with your who, and then some behavior, and then a belief afterwards.
I strongly believe if we find out who we are, strongly, then we find our ways and then the action is easy. How to say? It's easy going. Whatever we do, it's easier. It's fun. It's nice. But it is again the challenge to find out who we are and why we are here on Earth. What is our mission?
Yes.
That's a really, really difficult question to answer.
Yes. Yeah.
And it is true that at a certain point you find out the life is going, and you do different things for other people, you do different things for yourself. For me, I'm doing also a lot of things for organizations.
Yes.
And sometimes I think, is it, how to say, yeah, not is it enough, but could we do more? Something like that. And then, I don't know, the answer is still not answered.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. And you said sometimes having the mission is the hardest thing. Because
Really, to find it out. So to answer to answer to yourself, why I'm here, what I'm doing, and why. What is it for me? What does it mean to me?
Yes, yes, exactly. And sometimes not always answered, and not always a straight answer for a lot of people. But I guess you can maybe not have a straight answer, but you know, sometimes when you're doing something, if you're feeling maybe some type of fulfillment, or it's a bit more aligned with your skills and what you enjoy, would you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's both.
Yeah, you're sure. And I think it sometimes it won't feel perfect or comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as long as you feel you've kind of got that progression and you're moving forward and you're taking, like you say, you're taking the action steps. Sometimes it's easier to take the action steps.
Yeah.
But a lot of people maybe are busy, being busy, taking action steps, but actually, are they reaching, are they making progression
Yeah,
consistently?
that is what I agree with you. Not always they have an idea.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, so I think it's a combination of having that clarity of goal, and that goal is in somewhat alignment to really what will make you happy and others around you as well. But then also being with that sometimes there will be that not confusion, but it won't always seem very clear, or it won't always seem right, or like you said, perfect.
Yeah.
But it's and I think life is the whole point of being human is there is no perfect, there is no reaching the top of the mountain, so to speak. But all that there is that progression, and along the way you're fulfilling yourself and the other and the people around you, and you're impacting everybody in a positive way, and it works for you and it works for people around you. And if yes, every day that might not work and it might be hard work, but I think generally if in the majority working for you and others, then you've probably got the formula, got the right plan, but it's when it's not working, which is why I've done the tool set. The tool set is mainly there for people who either feel overwhelmed because something's not working about it, or they are procrastinating. So they either know they're not achieving something that could be there, could be more fulfilling, or they just don't know how to get there because there's some block or something. So that's mainly where the toolset is. It's not for the people who are succeeding, who have got a good formula, who are progressing. It's the people who progression is possibly not happening for them.
But just to add on this, sometimes also people that are progressive and are doing well, sometimes also, how to say, during the development, I figure out sometimes how to say, I stop a bit to think of how to continue or where to continue. It is also for the successful people sometimes to stop and rethink where I would like to go, what I would like to do. So
yes,
and I agree completely with you and with your how to say approach.
yes, yeah.
Sometimes if we don't find a way, if we are overwhelmed, we also do stupid things. So,
yeah, so you're saying in a sense that sometimes the overwhelm and procrastination, yes, is maybe somebody's obstacle, but you're also saying sometimes the person who is successful and maybe appears not overwhelmed or not procrastinating, like they never procrastinate, like they're amazing at hammering out goals and getting very successful and getting to where they want to, but sometimes it's them who are not fulfilled as they could be. So I think this is again where the balance of art and science comes, because science is that person who has got the process completely perfected, but they haven't got the art of maybe love or fulfillment or just that, like you say, they're too successful, but it's just not satisfying them. So
exactly.
yeah. So yeah, it's those balances that it's just not black and white. Life is not black and white. It's not like, well, if you have all the money and success, you'll be happy. No, that doesn't necessarily follow. And then it follows, if you have all the money and you're failing, you'll be sad. Well, no, it really doesn't work like that. So this tool set is more for if you feel you're not reaching your own personal goals, whatever that might be. So you might be the successful person, and passion tool set could be for you because you're just not happy or satisfied. So yeah, I guess that they're not the procrastinating person, but maybe they're the overwhelmed person in the sense overwhelmed that they're successful and they're not. They're CEO of a big company where they'd be maybe as a people, you know. So it's measuring up to your own example of what will make you happy, not just by society standards. I've achieved everything, but
Yes,
it just doesn't work like that. So not for everyone. That's creative. And I working with people in learning and training because it is so multi-level, multifaceted, so many different outcomes. Like you can give someone a formula to follow, and it doesn't mean the result will be the same.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for sharing, Bianca. So I will continue. So so that was the kind of 9/11 moment that I get some people to look at and see where they're at. Are they kind of at that 9/11 moment where the plane's going in and they're like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Yeah. Yeah, it's like every day is so precious. It really is so precious, and we forget. So I get people to look at and write down, because here's a slide of, I get them to kind of see what's working right now for them, what doesn't work maybe, and what's maybe a challenge or a gap, you know. So it's getting that whole kind of gap analysis of where are you? Is there somewhere where you'd like to be? Is there something that's not working? Is there some obstacle or challenge there? So it's just getting people to start thinking about that or rethinking about that, because obviously we work with this all the time and we see these types of training and presentations all the time. So who are you? What do you really care about? You know, you care about your work, your team, what's maybe missing in who you are that could supercharge your role. And then again, really just still start keeping looking at, with that kind of maybe goal or little challenge you've got, what's the sort of behavior or habits that aspiration you have, that goal you have, maybe a role model you have who's kind of achieved that thing where you'd like to be. What sort of types of action and behavior do they take? You know, just go and have a look. Start to ask yourself the question. And then beliefs, excuse me 1 second. My cat has decided to sit on my kitchen table, which is not allowed to do. Your beliefs, you know, what maybe current beliefs might you have that might be holding you back? And we're more aware of them than anybody else. We can definitely answer that question. So I usually look at what are the limiting beliefs as opposed to what amazing belief could I have about myself, because I don't really look at that to achieve my goal. I look at my behavior to achieve my goal, because once I start to behave myself into it and I see the results of my behavior, I'm like, wow, I really am that type of person. So I never really set my belief here. Oh, I believe I'm an amazingly successful coach who goes and writes, who goes and does seminars in New York and San Francisco and does book signings all around the world. I don't do that. I know that will come if I do the behaviours before. Is there anything you want to share about that, Biljana? Any of those bits?
Well, I know we all have limiting beliefs, but also it is as you said, it is all about the behavior.
Yeah.
Up until now, I agree.
Great, wonderful. Okay, just let me know. And so what I then get people to do in the booklet that I send them with the training, or they can print this, they can use this screen and print as they need to, is again focusing on the daily behaviours. So literally start to break it down into kind of like a micro kind of behaviour set that won't take you very long at all. And I usually say, focus on trying to hammer this out, in sort of 5 or 10 minutes a day. My whole kind of setting myself up for the day probably lasts about an hour, where I would do go and get some time away, some silent time, with the dog, and then do some exercise, grab some water, make sure I get a couple of tasks done. So kind of this should only really be taking an hour, half an hour, or even to do that set you up for your day. But with this one person, for an example, it's someone who's quite introverted and they want to communicate better with their team. And they could have a team goal or an individual goal. This could just be very personal, like, I want to get on better with my husband, or whatever it might be. And then it could be 1 to 5 tasks. It could just be 1 or 2 tasks. But here, this person has set themselves, when I come into the office, I say hello, and I update a few people on what I'm going to do. And for an introvert, that's a stretch goal. I'm going to take regular breaks throughout the day, so I'm going to push myself to kind of, get away from my desk. I'm going to take a lunch break with a team member I don't know. Again, it sort of stretches you. And I'm going to go and ask a few team members on their role to get to know them better. Listen more, repeat that. So, again, these are all things that you and I will have seen in operational development, learning, training, but it's just getting people to do this every day. We all know it, but it's getting people to really tick it off. And the way that I get people to do that is I get them to write them out, whatever it might be. And then again, this sheet I can send people and supply to people. It's literally just a 3-month calendar. And it's got space on each day where you can literally tick off. And I do this with myself at night time. If I've said to my accountability buddy in the morning if I'm going to do something, and then at night time when I'm acknowledging or appreciating myself, I'll write on my like calendar like this, where have I done that today? I acknowledge I've done that. And again, it seems like child's play. It seems very, that's a bit simple, but the most simple things are the most effective things, because the people out there who are the very successful business people are doing consistency. Even though, I've done that, I know that, I don't need to do that. I remind myself in my head. No, don't remind yourself in your head. Consistently do the childish, small, child's play things, and those will build big, but they start small, and it's that incremental. You look like you're going to say something, Brianna.
Yeah, I wanted to share that I'm not very good in percentages, but 90% of people refuse writing down.
Yes,
and
really.
It is like, I remember, I know, I promised myself, great, write down what are you going to change, write down what exactly would you like to do differently. It is really for us, the consultants, the hardest job to do. So I would like to know, does it work? Does it function with people you work with?
Obviously, I give different suggestions to people, and a lot of, for me personally, I know it works. It's changed my behaviour. It's definitely changed my behaviour and my beliefs about myself, like massively. I've been able to accomplish things and get over obstacles that were unachievable before, because I just was so overwhelmed by certain situations. But with certain people who I coach, I don't necessarily ask them to come back and tell me whether they're doing this, but of the people I trained on the Passion Programme in October, and I gave them all of this sheet, and I asked them to write things down. I didn't ask them were they doing it every day, but they got the results they wanted. So of the people who'd set themselves stretch goals of either I want to change my job, or I want to do this better, or you know, I've got a situation with someone at work who, or whatever it might be, and they all came back and said they were able to push past those overwhelm, that, you know, there's that either that overwhelm or the obstacle where they just like, for example, one lady, she wanted to leave her work, and she was so overwhelmed and couldn't deal with a lot of people there. But when she started daily setting herself the task of finding where was her obstacle and then working on it daily with a 5-minute task, she was completely able to not only, I think she got like promotion at work, her boss started to talk better to her. So yeah, she was doing this daily, and she said to me, you know, I was either looking at certain different tasks each day. But yeah, so of the people who did the program, all I can say to you is they didn't show me this sheet, but they said they did the work, and I know they came on the weekly calls, and yeah, and they had very good results. But I'm a bit more methodical. I will literally, like you say, go and write it on the sheet every night, and that's just the way I do it, because I prefer to systemize it, and then I know I'll get it done. Yeah. So yeah, it does work, because it forces you to look at the issue each day. And I think that's what they were doing, is each day they were questioning where were they stuck, what tasks can they do, and then each week they'd come on the call. So I know they were doing the work, so they were coming on the call and saying, I'm doing this, this and this, and these are the results. So yeah, it does work. It really does work. And I think the biggest thing that works about this is it allows the person to recommit to themselves. It's not that it's working because they're telling me, it's because they know they're committed. I know they're committed.
It is their wish. It's true.
It's almost like we just need to demonstrate it to ourselves, and then it will get done. We don't need to demonstrate it to anybody else, because once you're telling yourself, this is the type of person who I am. I'm a person who does this behavior every day, and I'll check it off on a checklist or however I do it. But I am this type of person that will get it done. And everyone has to reach their point of no return, where they've had enough of the old stuff and the old life or the old results, and then that's it then. Like the people who stop smoking or you know, lose weight or whatever. And it's like this, you make the decision. That's why I do the Who behavior belief, because then you make the decision of, okay, this is who I am, and okay, so now I'm going to do this type of daily behavior thing. And then each day, the ticking off, as I say, is not proving to the world, or it's not proving to a coach. I think it's just reconfirming to yourself, I'm committed to this every day. And that's it. That's for me how this works. It's as simple as that.
Great.
Great. So that was the how people get the results, and that's how people don't get the results, and what they might get stopped by, which is not taking the actions and the behaviors. And then here, as I say, that's great, and I could set that out for people, and they could go away and just focus on behavior and taking the actions. What I'm now moving on to now is the passion toolset. And the reason I have the passion toolset is because no matter, even if you go set your behavior and you do your daily little 5-minute, okay, I'm an introvert, so I'm going to go talk to a couple of people, and that will get me to achieve my goal. Life shows up, and life will show up and push the obstacles in our face, and then, you know, like someone who's dieting, who's trying to lose weight, and maybe they have a couple of friends who just are so skinny and just eat chocolate around them, you know, so they could sit on this call with you and I, Biljana, and set this amazing, okay, I've got my 5 tasks per day and I'm going to do amazing. Yet life and environment shows up, and that's when we start to get weaker, and we can't do those behaviors anymore, because, hey, I don't need to lose weight, and I'll do it tomorrow, and I can't help it because everyone around me is so always eating chocolate, or maybe everyone around me is fat, and it's okay because they're fat and I'll just be fat. And so passion, the acronym, is there as like a lifesaver, kind of a your life device, your life buoyancy flotation thing, to help you. So even though you've got your behavioural tasks, it's there to save you in those moments of temptation. Okay, so P. Why is P going to save me? P is going to save you because it's for power. And okay, so what does power give me? People typically think you're powerful when you can hit someone and you've got big muscles, and I'm going to shout over you and I'm going to tell you what to do and I'm powerful. And the confident people who walk in the room, and the salespeople who have always got an answer for everything, and they tell it the way, oh my God, they're so powerful. No. The powerful people are the ones who understand where they give and take energy. So the people who walk in the room and shout at people, and your boss who scares you and tells you what to do, actually they're draining the energy from the environment, and they're not very powerful people. When they would go back to their house, they would probably have some insecurity or something that they're seeking, because they need to take power from other people by shouting at them or telling them what to do or not impacting them in a positive way. And actually a powerful person would understand that they would be quiet first and speak last, and listen to people to first hear what is it people need, and what question do I need to ask here to give that person the best information, to understand how we can work together. That is when you're being powerful, because when you seek to benefit others, you will ultimately benefit yourself. But you're always looking to benefit yourself and take from a situation, you will be gaining no energy.
Yeah, there is no equation.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Because I liken it to a battery. If you're constantly sapping the energy, you're losing the energy. Whereas if you're constantly looking to regenerate energy, it's always about serving others. And obviously you could say, well, if I constantly serve others, I'm going to get tired. That's another different thing, because it's putting the oxygen mask on first. So before we even go into a situation, we will look to say, okay, at the beginning of the day, what do I need to do to take care of myself, so that my battery level, my energy level is topped up. So people might, as I say, go meditate, go find 20 minutes where they can be quiet. I'm not going to answer any phones. I'm not going to answer any emails. I'm going to do some exercise. I'm going to eat some good food. And then I can go into the world and then provide whatever it is that needs to be provided here. Because if you go into the world not topped up with your energy and start draining the world of give me this, give me that, I'm giving you an order, telling you what to do, you'll be a constant energy drain, and you will not be powerful. Not only for you will you not be powerful, but you won't be powerful for others.
Yeah.
So that for me is my definition of power. It's looking at it as a battery, energy levels. And that's constantly going up and down as the day goes on. You might start to find your batteries draining. So it's for you to go, okay, what do I need to do? I'm say halfway through the day, I'm going to go outside, I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk, or I'm going to go grab a coffee and just be quiet for 20 minutes. but just constantly keeping this eye on where your energy levels are, and then also understanding when you are maybe how you're being in a given situation when you're with people. Are you the person who is maybe always quiet and never says anything? You know, okay, that's fine, that's who you are, but is there somewhere that maybe you could be serving yourself better in a situation by expressing yourself more? Or are you the person who is always telling people what to do and maybe not asking their opinion? So, bless you. So it's a case of, are we always serving our own power and other people's power in how we're being in a situation? And and looking at that previous definition of power is the person who is big ego, overly confident, you know, always the person talking. They're not powerful at all. And you know, any senior leader in business who's a very good leader of people will tell you they're usually the quiet person who doesn't say, they always speak last.
They listen, yeah, they listen through. This is, I was going to say, in the leadership, it's very important to have this type of power. It is very nice that you connected it with the energy.
Yeah.
This is very interesting. Yeah.
So
Great.
there's loads of you know, documented articles on leadership and power, and this is me just putting it into a small definition and being able to put it into a simple way of the battery, so people can just remember, am I being powerful right now? No, actually I'm not, because I'm having to convince this person and manage them and command them, and my power is draining because I feel like then, you know, it's about understanding how you get people to if you're managing people, how you get them to do what it is you want them to do, with them feeling like it's their idea. When someone doesn't want to. And if you are feeling drained, there's obviously something going on with the power thing that you need to look at. So it's always thinking, am I drained? Maybe I could be serving myself more by doing stuff more for me, or maybe it's how I'm being with other people. Like I'm always trying to convince them or get them to do something, or I'm not leading as a powerful leader would, which is not trying to get them to do something, understanding some things from their perspective. What do they need?
Yeah.
And am I serving that? And maybe sometimes there's just a case where you're serving, and it's still not getting anywhere. So it's maybe where you kind of cut off and go, either this person isn't right for the job, or whatever it might be, but you know, you're doing everything, but your battery is still draining, and there's nothing more you can do. So but that's a good analogy I find, is when's my battery draining? And they're always humble, they remain untriggered by situations, which is a difficult thing to do, to literally not be triggered by anything. Understands they are the environment, you know, they create the environment by who they are. And this whole idea of this is their watch, you know, even if it's not your company, this is your watch and nothing goes down on my watch. And they're a role model, and they're always looking to positively impact people. And as I say, and sometimes go, do you know what, hey, I've done everything I can here, and you know, there's nothing wrong with me as a leader. I've served, and sometimes you have to kind of go, there's certain situations that you can and can't influence, and then it's down to the other people. So there's a bit of letting go as well. So that's the P for power, and that can be very useful when you're kind of setting your goals and you're doing your behaviours, but maybe you're coming across a stumbling block, and that could be one of the stumbling blocks of where your energy is draining.
So if I may ask, what you suggest here is that each person should write down where we get the energy from and what drains our energy in order to get our balance and get the power. Something like, maybe I didn't understand it quite well. What do I, if I shall write something here for myself, yesterday I had a situation very interesting, and as you said, preparing to go for a meeting and to keep calm and to be reasonable and everything. And then you get an invitation for conflict from the other side. And then another invitation and another invitation for conflict. And then, and I cannot go to have a coffee because we were six sitting there. You know?
Yeah.
And then I think maybe if I would do this for myself in advance of predicting what can go wrong, and then how to balance and still have the power. This is how I translate it to myself. Is it something you would suggest for someone to do?
Yeah, exactly. So you're exactly right. This once I've explained these as concepts to people, because again, it's all made up. I mean, everything we read in books is just made up. It's just someone's opinion of what works, you know?
Yes, yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's us just sometimes taking research of what we've seen works, and maybe some people have proven it by doing some scientific research, or we know works because, like yourself, you've been 20 years working, so you know what works. But for me, these concepts are what I've read about, what I've seen works, what I know works, and I've put them into 7. As I say, they are for you to take and to interpret how it would work for you.
Good.
So it's yeah. Do you see what I mean? So I'm giving a vague. I'm wrapping some words around a human concept, and you can add to it. You can take some things away, but you understand it from a kind of ontological point of view. You understand that this is how we work as human beings. That you will never be powerful when you try to dominate and take things from other people. But when you give to other people and when you give to yourself, you will be very powerful. You know, you will always have lots of energy reserve. Because as I say, this power here is not an old-fashioned power full of hurt someone. This power is how can I be larger than life, my most fulfilled person, you know, fully expressed, and also allow other people to be fully expressed as well. So it's a general concept I give you that you know works, and then you go out and test it and trial it and see how it works for you, or see how it works for some of the people that you coach with. And as I say, you can add to it and make it, because some of my students came back and said, oh, with power, I did this, this, and this, and then they give me more ideas. So it's not like it's my concept. It's a human concept, and I'm giving it more words, breathing life into it, just so that people can be more aware of this might be one of the blocks that might be stopping them or some people they're coaching with. And like you said, your example of someone asked me for more, another coffee, and then I'm overwhelmed. And then it's like, so yeah, in that situation, you can go, okay, how could I be more powerful? I just maybe take 5 minutes break, and then I just go in another room, and then I reassess, okay, what do I need to do here? Do I need to go and have coffee with all these people? Maybe I need to go have coffee with one of these people, or maybe I just need to get on with my work. I don't know, but it's just that kind of minute-to-minute reminder of, I'm feeling. Sorry, I don't know why my screen has.
It's very, very, very nice. Very, very powerful.
Yeah. So it's just the more I give out these little concepts and tools, it's just, as I say, it's awareness exercises that you can just keep thinking, okay, in this moment, I'm not dealing very well, or I feel overwhelmed, or I'm procrastinating. Okay, so what's going on? It's either the P or the A or the SSION. Great. And for me, the big thing with power, because in the book, and in my notes here, which I'm not going to go into a lot of my notes, but I give an example in my life. And my P for power was, my dad was always very, I always equated power with success. Not necessarily with money, but with achievement.
Achieving.
And my dad was always high achiever. So I always had to be like him. And so, you know, me for learning coaching for me helped me get through that power didn't have to be, well, yeah, I still am a high achiever, but I had to achieve the way he did, which was in a corporate life and go and be a CEO. And I wasn't enjoying corporate life. And so I kept jumping from job to job. And then I had children, and I went back to business, and I couldn't find anything that I loved to do. And then I found coaching, and then I do coaching. And then for me, that was not powerful. I didn't feel successful because it still didn't feel like I was the corporate CEO. I was like, I'm a coach, and you know, sometimes as coaches we don't make as much money, and then the work is not necessarily consistent. Like my dad had consistent work, so I'd be like, I'm not powerful because I'm not like that. So I just had to learn this concept of what it is to be powerful, and you know, to understand where I source my energy from. And yeah, I mean, it's just all wrapped up in that. So
and that is what makes you successful, by the way, on the other side.
Thank you.
Giving people really, this concept is great.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Great.
So thank you very much, Bella. So the next the next one is authenticity. A for authenticity. And again, you know, I had to do some of this soul searching of understanding my values, regularly recreating them, and then using them to guide you in and outside of business. And a master will always have clarity, which is why I said to you in the last one, you know, just go and take 5 minutes out and then just have that clarity of, do you want to go for all those coffees? They'll always have clarity before committing to things. And in the minute-to-minute times, where, you know, just remember to pull yourself back. Okay, I need to reassess this. Because what might have been your weekly plan or your daily plan changes. Because as I say, life throws things at us. Life throws things at the person who's trying to lose weight. And then they can use their P and their A to kind of go, okay, what have I recommitted to? I can't be around people who eat chocolate and I can't be around lots of fat people or whatever, you know. So just seeing if this aligns with our values. And if your values are not met, then action is needed, not resentment. And a lot of the world, you know, I hear conversations as I'm walking past people in coffee shops, on Facebook, on television. I just hear resentment all the time because, you know, people, their version of life that they wanted is not there, so they resent things. And it's not about your life didn't turn out the way it did. You know, the environment pushes us, and it's action is needed. And you either need to stop doing things or start doing things. It's not about going, oh, well, it's all, you know, the world's fault. So this is all about being authentic. And this one of my previous students, a lot of them loved this one because they were just like, it helped them, I think, just reconnect, realign. But with some of them, they were struggling with the way that the environment was turning up for them, and they felt pressure. And this one was just about them kind of either pushing back and, yeah, starting to be a bit more hard about stuff.
Works.
Yeah. Authenticity for me is great. I'm kind of a honest person anyway, so I think obviously honest and authentic are different, but I don't mind saying things that might make me feel uncomfortable or other people feel uncomfortable. For some other people it's different, but also, a lot about authenticity is not only just being able to speak your mind and express yourself, because sometimes that can come easy. A lot of it sometimes is almost about forgiving yourself, and accepting yourself, and then accepting others. And the example I use here is my son is 18 now, and all from when he was very, very young, he would struggle to go to school, and you know, he would bang on the windows and he'd shout, and he didn't want to stay in the classroom. And so it was very difficult for me, like I said, with the power one, of getting someone to do something and making it seem like it's a good idea for them, because he's always been the person that it's never a good idea for him. And it would always make me question myself of, am I doing this right, you know? And especially with having, you know, a very successful dad, I was like, right, well, I failed that. I'm not like my dad. I can't get my son to do certain things. And I would be very command and control, kind of, you will do this, you will listen to me. I'm your mom, I do everything for you. And it would just be shouting and trying to control, and it wouldn't work. And then I did coaching. And, you know, it got to a point where Josh was not enjoying school. It was not getting on very well. His teachers couldn't teach him. They said, he doesn't hear things. Is he deaf? And it's like, well, no, he doesn't hear things because he doesn't want to hear you. You've got to speak to him. But I struggled to get him to hear things. You know, we wondered whether he was dyslexic. I took him to a dyslexic centre. And then he got to GCS a year before GCSEs, and which is our 16 years that they take GCSEs, and then at 18 years they take A levels. So it's their two main exams before they go to university. And his GCSEs, he had predicted grades like E's and D's, which would be, those would be fails. He wouldn't pass. And yeah, so I pretty much, and then I've tried everything, but with coaching, I then had a moment where I realised that if I couldn't, it was like I was not accepting him, and I saw him as a failure because of that he wasn't doing the school system right, or he wasn't listening to me right. But then I realised this all goes back to that I saw myself as wrong, and that I only saw him as a failure because I could see myself as a failure. So I understood that, you know, I hadn't done the corporate way. So it was in accepting myself for who I was that I could accept him for who he was, and you know, really champion him. So this is the big thing for coaching, and for people in jobs, and, you know, people you might be coaching in corporate who are very senior, that they might be succeeding at what they're doing. And I chose a different path, but they would always possibly still look at themselves a certain way and not give them the break, and just let go of things for the way they are. You know, again, in the power thing, it's letting go of my definition of the way I saw myself and my dad. And then in this was just being authentic I thought I was authentic with myself, but actually I wasn't, because I judged my son, I judged myself too harshly, because, you know, I'm a very competitive, ambitious person. And then the moment I was able to just say to him, what's going on for you, rather than telling him, you know, do this, do that, and it would just be, okay, so why don't you want to do this? Or actually I started saying, how can I help you? So it was a real time, couple of years, where I was starting to love myself, accept myself, nourish myself, and do that for him. So, and by doing that for him, actually, it helped me more with myself, and just see the good points, and, you know, that you haven't somehow reached a standard. And then in all of that, when I just let go and supported him, and just said, you know, what's going on? Tell me what I need to do to support you. His grades went up, and then he wanted to do it more, and he strove more, and he set himself higher goals and said, right, that's it, I'm going to do it. And his A-level, his GCSEs, he got an A and 3 Bs and 4 Cs, so he did really, really well. And then he's just done his A-levels, and he's worked ever so hard on his A level. Again, still very lazy, and there's still that, that power dynamic of, am I controlling him, and then learning to let certain things go. But yeah, this power and authenticity for me is huge in managing situations where, as I said, there's situations where certain people don't want to listen, don't want to do the things you want them to do, and making it seem like their idea, and inspiring and motivating them, and sometimes knowing that it's just having that daily consistency of I'm holding myself to a higher standard and the higher behaviours and what I want to achieve. And even though I don't get the instant results, they will come. They will come. But these two are great to give you peace of mind that sometimes you might have to go through the difficult things, but as long as you're sticking to your values, you'll get there. But it won't seem like that time, because it might be uncomfortable. So yeah, they're very good. As I say, a lot of my students will follow those two. The third one is saying what you're going to do. So, and that seems simple enough. I say what I'm going to do. But
and wait for the response whether the others will blame you or not.
yeah, exactly. And a lot of people say, well, I say what I'm going to do, that's fine, okay, so that's easy. But how many times do we start the day and say what we're going to do and then complete the day? And a lot of this is, I have an accountability buddy who I say at the beginning of the day, and most things get done, and then sometimes I just have to say if certain things haven't got done. And this is a great one, because your brain always listens to you. So if you go around saying stuff and you're not doing it, your brain is listening to you, and it's going, she doesn't do what she says she's going to do. And your self-esteem goes down, and you slowly start to lose your self-belief. So you really have got to watch what you're saying here, because a lot of people go around saying, oh, I'm old, I'm tired, I'm fed up, I'm depressed. And your brain hears all this and it goes, okay, so she's depressed, I'm going to make her depressed. This is so important that you watch your words, and that you are your words. And then when you're not your words, you recommit to it, or you let it go and go, okay, I'm not going to ever achieve this, so I'm going to stop saying it.
Yeah.
So, and understanding fear and overwhelm play big in this, and they'll stop us. They'll either stop us saying it in the first place because we don't want to say it because we might not achieve it, or we'll be doing a goal, but then we'll procrastinate on it because we get scared halfway through, and so we have to procrastinate because it's too overwhelming, or maybe we don't want to face the failure, but maybe instead we do something. So it's dealing with all these things: fear, overwhelm, failure, being able to say it, know when you've not completed it all, and then recommitting to it. And then here I say, we don't complete things, we're late on projects, we're ignorant to our impact of what we said. And the more, because we're ignorant to what we say, the more we focus on this as a component, the more we start to notice what we are saying, because we're becoming more aware of it. And then we can start to become more aware of its impact on us and its impact on other people. And a bit about me with my son is that I almost became too aware of it, and I'd be too much like, am I doing enough? And so you can go the other way, where you're just focusing too much on what you say, and it's about learning to know when enough is enough, and that you've done your part. But then once you've got your balance with all of this, where I've said here is, when you're not saying things enough, or you're saying things and you're not doing them, it diminishes you. It's just slowly eating away at you. And masters just learn from, as I say, all of this. To learn and to grow and to thrive, we need to fail. So if we're not failing, we're not pushing ourselves enough. So it's failing, recommitting, just constantly putting our word out there, testing it, trialing it, being scared that we're going to put our word out there and, oh my God, I'm not going to achieve it or whatever. But it's resetting those goals. So is there anything you want to say from any of the three power of authenticity and saying what you're going to do?
May I just answer this phone, this
Yeah.
call? Just
Is it a quick one?
Alo? Ей, отиде. Кажи. Која сакаш таму наш твој? Која ти е окей? Тази мисля. Да. И за певница? Да. Окей. Јас сум доле у канцеларија, сум на една обука. Онлайн. Во 12:30 тргаш. Добро, сврати тука чисто да те земнам пред да појдеш. Мислам, тивко така. Окей? Ајде. Чао. It was my son that is also almost 18.
Is he okay?
He's okay. He's preparing to go on a trip with his friends. So he needed a consultation.
Okay. All right. Well, he's all right.
Sorry for this interruption.
That's okay. So yeah, anything from those three that you'd like to say, or we'll just move on? But it's all kind of
we can move on. Yeah.
It all fits with what you understand from coaching and from
yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
The second S of passion is sticking to what you say. And as I say, this is the biggest one, because if we take a couple of actions and after a couple of days or weeks we don't get the results, it's like, well, okay, I tried it. Yeah, but it's a long, it's continual sticking and then readjusting slightly.
Mm-hmm.
But the tendency as humans is to go, oh my God, I've done it, I'm not going to do it anymore because this is hard, because I'm getting nothing back, from the environment. I'm getting no reward, I'm getting no success. When is it going to come? And again, it goes back to the power battery thing of, are you draining your power? But actually, are you expecting energy to come back from others when it should be you generating that? You generate your energy and your power, but you keep going. It's going to be hard. You're not just going to get the validation that you need from everyone around you. With my son, I'm not just going to get that validation that, yeah, he's sorted, he's fine, he's made it. It's sometimes it's uncomfortable, but I know I'm there to provide him the role model, and that he'll thank me maybe sometime. But right now, you don't get thanked, you don't get validated, you don't get that success back straight away. When you want big things and big goals and big achievements, it's about living with uncertainty of, I don't know if I'm doing this right, but I'm just going to keep doing it because it feels like this is what is needed for me, for this person, for the environment. I need to stick to my values. And so we always wish we'd done it differently. Others do it better. How many times do we all say that to ourselves? Oh, they do it better than me. They're a better coach. They're a better company. I could have done it better. We never acknowledge our special skills. And there's a huge amount of power, resilience, fulfillment in someone who's responsible around their word. I know I've said I'll do this, or I'll be there, or whatever, and I keep going. I'm leading this. I am the leader. It is expected of me. And I said I'd do it. I give my word, and I will keep doing it because I gave my word. And what I say is so valuable, because that gives me my own self-respect, and that gives other people their respect of me. The words that come through your mouth, that everybody listens to everything you say, and immediately, if what you're saying is different to what you're doing, people immediately there's almost like a different hearing for people's integrity. If your words don't match your actions, people can feel it. They don't even need to hear it. They can sense it. Do you know what I mean?
And that's the brain works it out somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. You just sense it. You like there's an extrasensory perception around us as humans, and we're just like, whoa. I don't know whether I want to be around that type of person, because I know they just said something over here and now they're acting like this over here. So yeah, so that integrity thing. Masters are present, they appreciate, they acknowledge, and they focus on the long term. So the big thing here is in how you use this as a tool is the appreciation, is appreciate each small thing so that you can keep going. Because if you don't appreciate the small things and you are just waiting for the one big thing, because it's like, oh, this is not enough, this is not enough, I can't acknowledge this, I can't appreciate this, it has to be the big thing, the big goal, the big, you know, I have to succeed like this. You'll never get there because you're not giving yourself that break. You're not giving yourself that joy in the moment, that positive, because it's always negative. It's always negative until I get here. So to be able to stick to what we say we're going to do, we have to keep forgiving, letting go, topping up our energy, and then appreciating the small moments and acknowledging the small steps, the small wins. Even the fact that, okay, I'm just being consistent here, and then moving forward, and then it will come. And then when it comes, we don't even get it when it's here because we don't see it. And it's like, you actually got what you wanted, but then you want something else, you know? So it's funny, the whole thing that we talk about, goals and progression and, you know, passion, tools and obstacles, is all on this line, isn't it? It's this like this line, like, because all my actions are doing like this, here to here. And it's just this continuum of life. But it's not a straight line. It goes up and down and round and in a circle and, you know, all over the place. So it's not just a start here, in the middle and end. And that's our problem, is we always think that's the way it looks, but it doesn't look like that. So remember the moments. And that will get you through the sticking. I is for index, and this is your index of life. So this is what life looks like for you, because obviously it's different for every person. And this is how you see the world. This is how the world occurs for you. This is how people occur for you. And these are like your rules of life. Like, if I do X, I will get Y. But actually for other people, if they do R, they'll get N. You know, they've all got different alphabet letters. So all our rules are different depending on how we were brought up. You know, our peers, people around us, our schooling. Yes, to a certain extent, to some of our genetics and the way that, you know, there is that to a certain extent. But I do believe we can reprogram ourselves. So how we've been conditioned as we were young, you know, for certain people, what is a good environment to be in? For other people, that would be a bad environment. Just depends on what you're comfortable with and what our triggers are. So again, our triggers come from how we were rewarded and punished when we were young. In a different way for other people. So what they see as a good thing. For example, we love, mainly in Europe, we love animals, and they are pets and they're like members of the family. In China, they eat dogs. You know, so it different rules for different cultures. And then here I say that we're stuck in these habit loops. So we're constantly, we've got our set rules and we live by them, and we're constantly trying to prove those rules, protect those rules, hide, defend, blame. So it's all about masters who they're acutely aware of what are the rules and judgments I'm living by, and maybe it might be me learning to accept those. I want to have those in my life, or maybe I want to change some of those rules. Some of those rules aren't serving me anymore. And again, more of this is about understanding certain things that we want and that we've grown up with and that are there for us and that we want to celebrate. And then certain things that we either want to let go of and move forward from. And then commit to certain new actions and certain new creation. So this index is a lot about recreating new stuff for ourselves. But also, being able to see when things aren't working, but loving our imperfections as well, and loving what we've had around us, and loving things for what we have, as opposed to what we don't have. And just remembering where are our forms of role models coming from, where are our forms of validation coming from, and again about the energy, sort of what tops our energy up to have what type of judgments. So is there anything there that you'd want to share from Liliana? Anything there for you, sort of reminds you of, or that's useful for you?
I'm thinking this is something that we work on as a motivational value system. Anyhow, it's very interesting how the environment changes. So each new generation changes the perception and codes differently. The index, it's very interesting that you call it index,
Yeah, because I think
really indexing things, what is good, what is wrong, what is, as this younger generation, they said you don't talk about things from the last century, from the previous century. It's too old.
But and I think
somehow I grew up in the previous century.
Yes, exactly.
So,
but it's the same for us when when all of us are young. When I say, obviously you and I are young, but when all of us are children and teenagers, everything seems new and like we're creating it new and it's fresh for us, and everything they did was old and old-fashioned. And I think we're all the same as humans. We all have the same experience where we're teenagers and extremely young, and we see things as we're inventing this for the first time. And then you go through, and 10, 20 years later, you learn more about life and experience, and then realize it's more about finding your place in life and serving others. And then when you get even older, you just become more fulfilled and happy with who you are. So you kind of do a circle of life, as they say. You start off as who you are, and then you reject everything about who you are, and like, I'm not like that. I'm not like my parents. I'm different. You reject yourself. You don't want to be like who you grew up to be. And then, as I say, you then work on being a part, finding a family or a community, or settling down, and then coming back to yourself. Of I love a lot of who I am and where I came from. So I think we all go, wouldn't you say, with it? That's a human experience, no matter if you're growing up in the 21st century or the 20th century.
That's it. Now I think about this index. Index is a nice word for putting the things, putting the filters on the, very interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Filters. Yeah. A lot of people say filters, don't they? And it's used differently. And NLP, a lot of neuro-linguistic programming. Have you heard of NLP?
NLP, I'm an NLP practitioner. I understand from the other point of view as well, but
Yes, exactly. So a lot of NLP is to do with this as well, and just understanding things from other person's point of view and learning to speak in their language. And there's just so much going on that we don't realize. We're not able to tune into everything.
Yes.
And we don't necessarily hear everything. Even when we're just listening to one person, we don't necessarily hear everything they're saying, because we're thinking as well at the same time.
Yeah, working out the content.
Yes,
True.
exactly. And then, as they say, we're waiting to speak. I'm listening to you, but I'm actually just waiting to say my next. Well, not that I'm saying that, but
Yes.
rather than just listening to that person and just, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to listen to. But mainly humans, we're trying to hear what you're saying to then go, okay, I'm going to make my points about what I think you're saying. So yeah, this is a good one to remember.
Yeah.
Help us tune in with other people. Yeah, you're right about your son, and people who say, "Oh, you know, I was born in the 21st century." And it's like,
yeah.
You're still human.
You're old-fashioned.
You're still the same. What did you say?
No, they say you're old-fashioned. You're from the other century. So
Okay, whatever.
This younger, they're right. They're very nice.
Yeah, but so I mean, this is good. This is a good tool for when people are maybe unhappy with certain aspects, because you can understand, well, what am I unhappy about? Because life is the same for other people, but they're happy. It's just because we're unhappy about the way we see the world and our expectations of the way the world should be for us and the way that we think we are.
Yeah.
We're not really that way. That's the way we see ourselves, and that's the way we see the world.
Good point. Yes.
Yeah. Something that's appeared like a warning sign on my computer. Oh, hang on. It's just saying I've got 30 minutes remaining.
Okay.
Because these sessions only record for 2 hours, so we haven't got much more to go. But then if you think of any questions, please email me, or have I added you to the Facebook group?
I don't have a Facebook profile.
Don't have Facebook?
No.
Okay. So I'm just thinking a way you can interact with people who are in the bigger group. It's a shame.
I usually use LinkedIn, and I use this. What is this? Through the telephone.
Zoom or
how I use Skype also, and say this WhatsApp for.
WhatsApp. Yes.
Because it's also free of charge, communicating with all around the world through telephone, exchanging information. That's fine.
Okay, I'll see maybe if I can get some of the members to come on a WhatsApp group. But yeah.
Or
but any questions?
Say again? The mails anyhow.
Yeah. Any questions you think of after, just email me.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And after I see the book, also maybe I will have some ideas. Yeah.
That'll be good. Yeah, any ideas are good. And so I was just with the index. Sorry, I've hidden that. It is just Mo Gawdat, who he wrote a book called The Happiness Equation, and he says happiness is when the events of life meet your expectations of how you think life should be. So when you're not happy, your events are different to the way you expect life to be. So it's just sort of moving these about and sort of understanding, okay, I can't control events, but I can certainly look at my expectations and see why are they not meeting. And so that's great for the index bit. It's
perfect.
Being more aware of all of that. And if we go on to O, which is obstacles, which actually is just obstacle, because it's one thing, which is our one obstacle in life is us, because it's constantly what we are telling ourselves, you know. So like I say, you could be speaking and I could just be saying, oh my God, she's really great, she's really amazing, she's not going to listen to anything I'm going to say, or, you know, just our constant negative self-talk, and then it will bring our self-belief, our self-esteem down, and then we'll act a certain way, and we will not take the right behaviours, take the right actions, because we're just constantly questioning ourselves. And it says here, we can't be with ourselves. We're not able to be with who we are. Some people, you know, can't be with, maybe they've got shame about something. They feel shameful that they didn't do something, or there's scarcity in the world, or they're constantly comparing themselves to other people. So those three things tend to be going on in the background if people have, you know, the negative self-talk. If there's some sort of personal obstacle going on for them. And Brené Brown is great for all of that. Brené Brown,
yeah, she's great.
Really, really good. Anything about shame, scarcity, comparison. And masters learn compassion and empathy. So it's going back to, you know, having that compassion for yourself and for other people, you know, because the more I practiced compassion for myself, the more I was able to be compassionate to other people. So when certain things didn't, you know, like for example with these fashion summits, and some people are cancelling, some people are not turning up, and the old me could kind of go, oh my God, I failed. Oh, they don't want to come. What have I done wrong? You know, again, it's like rejection. Oh, I feel rejected. Oh, it's gone wrong for me. I'm failing. I can't keep doing this because he keeps failing on me. You know, all of these things, when actually I was learning compassion, and all the time I could just accept, you know, pat myself on the back, kind of go, it's okay, you did what you needed to do. Sometimes, and a big thing I would just be telling myself is, everyone's got such busy lives. You've got so much going on. It's got nothing, and this was a big thing. It's got nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with how they feel about you. It's not that they don't love you, Rachel. You know, and that was a big thing, is the whole, you know, needing that validation as a child, you know, from a child. Oh, it means people don't love me. Oh, it means I've done something wrong. And it's just, stop making it about you. You know, a big amount of the negative self-talk is we all make stuff about us. Everything that goes on is, oh, it means they don't about me. It means people don't love me, you know. All the time, you know, it's rejection. Even with big senior CEOs or whatever, there's that fear of rejection. And once we can have that compassion with ourselves and then with other people, and just remember to what's going on in their life. Remember to have compassion. They're just busy, and okay, fine. So maybe they're naughty and bad for not coming to your conference or your passion summit, but you're not going to get anywhere by blaming other people and going, okay, well, they were wrong and they should have done this. It is as it is, you know, compassionate for you, them, accept, move on. And with certainly for me, running your own business, it just helps you keep getting back on the horse. And when things happen and things knock you, you're just so much quicker and more effective at moving forward, moving on, taking next steps, and the momentum of progression and success is faster, is more intense. So it's all about understanding these as human superhero forces that we can use and have in our armory. To get us through. So as I said, passion is an acronym that will get us through all the obstacles. So when we set ourselves our who behavior beliefs, when the poo hits the fan, we can look at passion and say, which one of these is not working for me? And I can use that on a daily basis. Last one is navigation. And I love navigation because for for me, I wrote this down. Navigation gives you the power to interrupt old behaviours and to go beyond your stories every day. So navigation is the way that we systemize our daily life. It's the way we plan our daily life, how we navigate through our daily life. So navigation for certain successful entrepreneurs who have 10 businesses and they just don't have the time in the day, but what they do is they systemize. So they will have that power hour at the beginning of the day where they do their meditation, they focus their mind, they have 20 minutes without phones so that they have no distractions, they get their mind to peak performance, they get their mind to most positive, affirmed, visualized, powerful, motivated. They do their exercise, they take care of their body, they take care of their mind, they take care of their soul and their heart, they make sure they've seen their kids off to school or whatever fills their heart up, and they are ready to go, and they hit it. They've done their power hour, say 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, and they hit it at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, they get the tasks done out the way. They recognize in the day when maybe a phone call comes through where they've lost a big customer, and they go, okay, just take stock. What do I need to do? Okay, my obstacles, I'm kind of going into my negative self-talk, whichever one it is, and each moment that something happens or someone doesn't turn up, they're supposed to meet somebody and they've just traveled an hour and that person doesn't turn up. Okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Okay, they haven't turned up. How can I be powerful here? Let's just acknowledge, okay, I put this work in, this is what I wanted to happen, it didn't happen, so what do I need to do now? And they're just constantly readjusting those measurements when things don't go their way. Okay, so that didn't happen. And they could have something planned in. So maybe they had a meeting, but they had a second meeting lined up, which was like 10 minutes down the road. So that I know I'll get on the phone, I'll get onto that person because I knew if I didn't meet them, I can meet up with them. They're constantly using their time and they've got everything planned out, and they plan it out the night before or the week. They look at their week's chart. They plan it out at the beginning of the week, and then the night before, and then the morning of, okay, I've got these things to do today, and if that doesn't get done, I'll move on to that, and then we'll see where we are at the end of the day. Because sometimes you need people to get these things done, and then people don't always, as I say, things don't always go. So they are constantly planning, systemizing, and I've just given you some examples there, and then halfway through the day, their battery level's going down. Okay, that's it. I'm leaving the office, I'm going out, I'm going to take my shoes off, and I'm going to walk on the grass in the park and just look up at the sky and just take in, I'm going to go hug a tree or whatever it is. And I'm just going to reset my mind, reset. And that's what they're doing throughout the day. Each hour, systemize. It's like quite robotic. It's quite mechanical, it's quite scientific, but there's an art to it as well, because you're like, okay, that's the science, but sometimes throughout the day, my heart's dropping and I'm losing my motivation. I'm losing the will to live. Okay, in the car, I'm going to play my best song ever that just makes me feel good. So you've got to bring in the art and science, but they are robotically systemizing. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, if that doesn't happen, I'll do that. If that doesn't happen, I do that. It's systemized. Masters, stay awake. So remember to stay awake in the moment. So when I'm in the meeting, I'm not listening to my phone. I'm not looking at my lists. I'm not checking, my goals. I'm in the meeting and I'm listening to the person. So it's having that big plan, the the month plan, the week plan, the day plan. But when I'm with people, I'm there with them in the moment. So that's the art. There's the science and then there's the art. I'm here with you. I'm listening to you. I'm making the most of this meeting. I'm not listening to my phone that is my other meeting that's going off. I'm in this meeting. And then I'm measuring it. Some people measure, some masters don't measure. Some just like to stay awake and just do their prayers and their meditation. Some measure a lot, and all of them successfully control the small bad psychological habits. Oh, there I go again, negative self-talk. Out, out, out. Small bad psychological habits that keep us below our potential. I absolutely love, this is my favorite. This is my favorite tool because, as I said, this is the only thing that has the power to interrupt the old behaviors, and it allows you to go beyond those stories every day, because we've already identified where the stories are with our indexed and with maybe some of our authenticity where we're not being authentic about who we are or how we see ourselves or whatever. Or we see how our power might be dragging us down, or we're trying to control people or overpower things and we're losing power. We've already done all of that, but navigation is where we take those little behavior daily habits that we named at the beginning and we put them in action. Because every single day, if you haven't got your day planned out, you're not going to, your day will rule you and things will come up and then people will end up doing the things that come up. So navigate. And this is all about breathing life into those goals. So even though it's very systemized, and even though it's very much like I said, plan your 3-month calendar. I've got a 3-month calendar up there. That's like literally my next quarter of the year. Plan it, review your week before it happens so you know your week. And then on your day, I send my daily text to my accountability buddy of what am I going to get done today. And then some of that stuff I don't get done. So it's very systemized, very robotic, but remembering to be present in the moment so you can bring the art in. But this is where you breathe life into the goals, is look at my navigational tool to see where I'm not breathing the life into my goals, and then look at all the other 6 tools to see what's stopping me breathing life into those goals. And that's it. That is the passion toolset. And there's loads I could give you. I could give you loads of other stories about me and what's worked. And there's loads of quotes I've got written down here. But because it's just you and me, I'm talking a lot and I don't want to lose my voice. But loads of amazing motivational quotes, which you'll get in the book when you get it through. And those quotes I put into specific chapters, because some quotes are more about being powerful and some quotes are more about when you say what you're going to do or stick to what you're going to do, and there's fear and overwhelm. So some of the quotes are related to that. Like one of my favorites quotes, well, authenticity, my favorite quote is by Catherine Collette, which is, your goal is to rebuild the connection with yourself and turn the volume up on your own intuition. And one of my favoritist quotes on saying what you're going to do and sticking to what you're going to do is Elizabeth Gilbert from Big Magic, which is, what has you finished something is not discipline, it is self-forgiveness. And actually, to be honest, something I read in a Harvard Business Review article the other week was talking about goals is a lot more about prioritizing endurance over progress. So although Elizabeth Gilbert says it's not about discipline, which I agree with her, because you can discipline yourself, and unless you forgive yourself, discipline will get you only so far. I do think a lot of what I've seen in coaching and what I've seen through using the Passion Toolset is really just focusing on endurance. But part of endurance is self-forgiveness. To be enduring, you have to be able to be compassionate and forgiving. Because I think if you just say discipline, discipline by itself is all about strict rules and regulations. And I don't know if you agree with me, Billy. But endurance strictly is not just a kind of scientific approach. I believe it's having all of those human qualities as well of how do I endure this? To endure this, I be human and I have that softer side along with the discipline. So I think endurance is a good one to use. And as I say, I'm beginning to see a lot more of the success in these tools is just enduring and not necessarily looking at progress. Oh, how have I progressed today? How have I progressed this week? Why haven't I reached my progress goals and stuff? It's about just endurance. And I think sometimes when you say enduring, it sounds quite tiring and, oh, I've got to endure this play, or I've got to endure this meeting. I mean, it's amazing that you can pick all these things up because this is English and these are all
very, very specific.
Yes, these are very specific words like endurance and discipline. Potentially to a non-English speaker, it's sort of very similar, but it's I thank you so much that I'm not being condescending here, but your understanding of the English language and me being very specific about, because a lot of Passion Toolset is words. It's creating words and creating some that are powerful and not so powerful, you know. And as I say, there is a very fine line, but it's something very powerful to take away with you, is understanding it's not about the discipline, even though a lot of what I talk about is discipline, but it's endurance. So
in a way, yeah, exactly. Combination between discipline and what you really like and what you really believe in. As you say, the action and a soul. Somehow it is like soul in action.
yes,
It's very. Otherwise, how do I discipline myself to do something?
yes,
Again, by punishment, or someone will tell me you. I don't know, whatever. If you don't believe it, believe it. Again, the beliefs. I don't know where it is. It is. Yeah. I don't think that we really have a good enough translation of endurance in Macedonia.
yes.
Good enough, I like as a word. I mean, it should be a sentence explaining it. Great. Yeah, great.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you said that when you said discipline and soul.
Soul, it is kind of
it's having that soul, yeah. And as I say, when I say endurance, because sometimes I see endurance as a bit soulless, without soul, because it's like keeping on, and then you just lose your will to live because you're just like, I'm just doing this. But as coaches, it's about us inspiring people, but giving them the discipline as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's giving that soul to discipline. But as I say, the more I look at it now, the more I see endurance as a positive thing. I used to see it as, oh my God, I'm being told what to do and I have to write things. I never wrote anything down. I'd never plan holidays a year ahead of the time. I just book holidays in the moment. And obviously creating Passion, I've become an extremely disciplined. I was very organized previously, but I was not disciplined. I've become a very disciplined person. But as I say, now I'm recognizing endurance as positive, as life affirming, because it's enduring, but with your soul. So yeah, you can breathe life into it because you're feeding it with your soul. You're not just doing.
Yeah, like a robot, like a machine.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, these 7 concepts are quite complicated in a sense, even though I make them simple. they can be quite complicated because there's so much below them. There's so much in the coaching world.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with understanding ourselves, really in depth. In depth understanding ourselves, where things are coming from, who do I prove things?
Yes.
Especially here in this Balkan regions, it is all about what people will talk about. It's the hard work, really. What the neighbors will say, what my mom will say, what my husband will say, whatever will say. It is very hard to be yourself, thinking of the surrounding of the environment, and then you have it here in the passion. It's just why? I mean, you can't make everyone happy around by doing things that are expected.
Yeah.
Well, then you have your own expectations, and then that's why I love this meaning. Change the expectations. Then,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you want to be successful, something is also wrong with your own expectations, but still keep the personality. Here on the Balkans, it's very hard to keep the personality, having in mind that everyone is judging, really good judging. This is strange to say, but it is like that.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, different examples. Also for myself, it is like she is doing everything for her business, and I don't know, now spending the Saturday for learning. I mean,
Yes.
people ask me, how long are you going to learn? And I say till the end of my life, of course.
Yes.
I mean, there's always something new to learn from someone, from everyone. There are clever people around. There are worthy people to hear something, to understand something new.
Yeah.
And they're really big judging. Like,
Yes.
you spend time on stupid things. Yes, they may be stupid for you, but not stupid for me.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's complex, and then that's why it's very good. And this navigation I like also. Think about what can you do when situation occurs. What you do when situation occurs, not just to think now what, and then what, now what. Do something different, and then I like this.
Yes.
Go through. It's very nice concept.
Good. Yes. And that's it. I put them there to be, like you say, a very nice concept, something that will feed you, that will feed that power, feed that energy. And all of these concepts, I think, are easy for us to understand as humans, but then really support us to see where it's missing and what more of that we could add. So yeah, I think that they're all, like I say, aspirational kind of concepts. And what I'll quickly show you is for each of those tools, I invented some, well, I didn't invent, I've only just like, just showing, is that big enough, that screen?
I'm suffering with my. I will find time to go to my. How do you call this?
Oh yes, yes. Optician, yeah.
Optician, yeah.
Let me make the screen bigger. So these are exercises that maybe I've used, or let me get the screen bigger for you. Format. Where are we? Where do I go?
This is like connecting to picture and
view. Oh, here you go. View into full screen. So these are exercises that I've either seen other people use, or I've kind of made some of them up myself, or I've just taken from a lot of what I've read. So with power, as you can see, each one has got these different daily exercises that you can go do. So with power, I recommend people go read something for 20 minutes a day. And here I've got, like, for me personally, these are like 400 or 500 different authors, TEDx speakers, entrepreneurs, business people. And each one I've put into a different section of something for my brain, you know, about neuroscience, or something about business, or something about entrepreneurship, or mindset, or well-being. So, for example, here in the neuroscience section in red, which I've kind of said, that person changed my life. This is Dr. Jeffrey Schwartz, and he's a neuroscientist, but he's very good at being able to explain it and inspire you and stuff. So for each one, I've got all of these different people who I can recommend. So that's something. And these are all the quotes that I've taken from all the people I've listened to in the last sort of 7 years. And I've listened to a lot of them on podcasts, YouTube channels. And these are really inspiring quotes. And a lot of these I've got in the book as well. So this is an exercise you can do for the power section. Go find somebody you want to role model in a certain section. Go listen to some great quotes. And then here on this third slide, I've said people who are powerful. I've given some examples. So Oprah Winfrey, Will Smith, Ken Blanchard. Authenticity, I've said Glennon Doyle Melton is amazing for authenticity. I've given examples for each one. So go find someone who you want to listen to, but who's maybe authentic, or who maybe can talk about your index, or maybe talk about the obstacles. So that's something you can do for the power section. For the authenticity section, this is something you'll be aware of, Biljana, of being able to do a values elicitation exercise, which is mentioned in Noble Manhattan. So go and find your values by naming all the things that are important to you. Then find out what your company values are, and do they match, or are they a mismatch? And then here with this person, they find that they're a mismatch because their personal values are completely different to what their company mantra is all about. Here, this person's personal mantra is enjoying life whilst creating structured environments. The company mantra is building a fast growth business that's adaptable to uncertainty.